I think you are, I hope, describing some of the challenges of the early adopter. I mean, I guess Pod Point's vision for this would be that there would be sufficient infrastructure, so you don't have those sorts of constraints. But there is so much nuance in what you've just talked about. Dimming of charging rates when you've got, or dipping of charging rates when more people plug in, and those sorts of things. The key metric of range per hour plugged in, or how much time it's going to take to get. These are things which start to make great sense, but you need a degree of understanding. If you're talking about range per hour to a petrol driver, it's totally alien, right? And it is very, very difficult to simplify these things. So, Erin, maybe we need to put all our copy past you before we put it on our website. Because if you go to our website, we've had a good go at writing guides, but there's a lot of nuance to convey in there. So we hear you from both sides. I think it is confusing for certainly someone entering the industry, but also it is, with so much nuance, quite hard to confer the sort of challenge, I think.
It is, but actually you raise an interesting point. Petrol and diesel drivers don't know how much range per hour out of their petrol, whatever. But the one common metric, and we're trying to do this at the moment in AutoTrader, and I think with the cost of living crisis and people budgeting, this is key. Everyone worries about range anxiety, or everyone thinks that consumers are going to worry about range anxiety, and so consumers have been told, oh, you will worry about range anxiety, and increasingly, I don't think it is range anxiety, is it? When you look at the daily commute being average daily commute being 7 miles or something, and most people will be absolutely fine 99.9% of the time with home chargers and so on. But the crucial point is this cost issue, and with the rising cost of energy and so on. And what petrol and diesel drivers are all too painfully aware of right now is how much a tank costs them. So, we all know when we go to fill up now how much a tank's costing us. We also all know roughly how many miles we get out of our tank, because we watch it. We watch that range go down, and we know what it is. So the equivalent thing is, okay, well, how much will it cost me to drive? If my petrol tank is good for 400 miles, how much is it going to cost me to drive 400 miles on my electric vehicle by charging it on my home charger? And that's a simple calculation that, okay, people's domestic energy tariffs differ. So you can't give you a really accurate pence down to the last penny cost, but we can average, and we can say, off peak, it's roughly averages out at 6 pence per kilowatt hour, whatever the metric, and so on. And so we can come up with these rough calculations, which is all motorists have ever had for fossil fuel cars anyway. It's always been rough calculations, and that's all the consumer's looking for. So I think we can tie ourselves up in too many knots in this industry around providing accurate consumer financial information when consumers are just looking for ballpark figures.